Here we go. Hi, everyone. It says my headphones are attached to our TV. So give me 1 second. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're tuning in from. Just try and disconnect. Here we go. Okay, so that should work. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. All right. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Oh, why is my background blurred? Oh, there we go. Um, yeah, I wanted to show I've got these cool stickers that I put behind me. So they're all different types of leaves. So there's like Philodendron gloriosum, there's like some palm leaves, there's supposed to be like Adansonii, the Monstera Adansonii, then here, Fatsia japonica. Yeah, so a little mix of different leaf morphology. Oh, I think the Chinese fan palm, uh, and then like these little abstract looking monstera as well. So yeah, I kind of peppered the background because I have this new little area in the house where we have our little shelves and we have our two little chairs here, and it's like a nice little reading lounge area. So I wanted definitely to add more plantiness to kind of tie it together. So so I did I got these stickers and I love them. Um Wanted to like one of the final touches to this wall. Oh, I'm glad you like it, Jen. Yeah, so to have that. Right now I have this whale fin sitting here, but I am once right now I'm kind of letting the cats get used to it because they keep hopping on it, of course. And so kind of want them to get that out of their system and learn that this is not a place to be hanging out, so then I can add some more plants in the background. But for now, the whale fin is there. Um, I had tried to put a couple other plants here, and then I was like, no, no, they were still trying to hop on stuff. So I was like, let me lessen what I have here. One thing that I did put in the background, but I have it on my desk right now, um, is this. So this is what I was talking about. I think it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago that I was waiting to come in the mail. And this is a cypress knee, or also known as a nematophore, though that is like an older term that's not really used to describe them anymore. But I love the texture. It's an absolute gorgeous specimen, and it was actually cut fresh. And so yeah, I need to I need to figure out how to best preserve it. So so we'll take that journey together. So I'm not sure if I should just let it dry out. Should I put it in the oven? Should I glaze it? I'm really not sure. But it is fresh. Um so yeah, I have to see what I can do to protect it because I really do want to keep this like the actual bark on it. I don't want to remove that. But I'm not sure the best way to protect it. I've never had to kind of dry out or protect a piece of wood at this size this size. So so we'll see. But for those that weren't here for that class, so I mentioned the bald cypress tree uh, creates these roots that come out of the ground all around it. And so it looks like little mountainous, like peaks and valleys all around its roots. Um, and it extends, it can go several feet away from the main trunk, and it still belongs to the same tree. And they have these structures that come up out of the ground. And the old theory, and that's why they were called nematophores, was that they were a way to um, kind of help further oxygenate the roots to get more access to oxygen. So they were essentially going the opposite of gravity, right? Up above, out of the soil, pop out, and to kind of help like that. But they have been studied and dissected, and there are no structures in it that make it more optimal for getting oxygen. So the prevailing theory right now is more so like structural, kind of helps the tree just kind of anchor itself, because they tend to live in very swampy areas where the soil is either very shallow, or it's very prone to flooding or being waterlogged for very long periods of time. And so with all that kind of like erosion, it just helps them yeah, um kind of stay kind of lodged in there. Oh, Holly, yes. So this is the cypress knee that I had ordered, and it finally came in. So I wanted to show everyone what in the world I was talking about. So this is that structure that comes out of the ground at the base of bald cypresses, these trees. And I really wanted one. One, I love seeing these outside. First time I saw them was in Louisiana. I have since seen them in many different places, and there is actually a bald cypress, two bald cypress. There's definitely more, but two that I've seen specifically in Central Park that are producing cypress knees. So, yeah, these are super cool. So I have one, and now I just need to figure out how to preserve it so that I don't want to lose it to mold or anything like that. So I'm gonna see if maybe I should just put it out in the sun and let it dry. Should I put it in the oven? I'm not sure. If anybody has any familiarity with bold cypress knees, I don't want to carve it. So I want to keep the wood. Um, Let me know. Let me know, because I definitely want to keep this specimen, but it was cut fresh. So I don't wanna lose it. Um, Now, what I wanted to tell you folks too is I'm very excited to share. I'm gonna try to share some of the videos. Um, was I got a private tour at the Nolan greenhouses. So it's Nolen greenhouses at the New York Botanical Garden. Um, Let me see if I can pull, let's see here. Here we go. One thing I keep feeling them, and then I keep going like, oh my gosh, is that another one? Um, so our neighbor downstairs started noticing directly under us, started noticing ants. Now, we had a problem with ants, and I think it was right before COVID started, I want to say. And we put some diatomaceous earth on the windowsill, and it solved the problem. They were coming in from the exterior of the building. They were climbing up the exterior wall up to the roof. I'm not really sure, but they were kind of attacking all the apartments on that line. They were just kind of coming in and going in through our windows. And we hadn't had to deal with them for years. And then now, downstairs, they were talking about seeing ants, and I started seeing them in the hallway. And then yesterday, Brian woke up and there was one on his pillow. And I was just doing stuff on my computer and I saw one. And now I feel like they're on me. And so yeah, I'm gonna have to do a thorough inspection by the windowsills today. And I'm gonna put some diatomaceous earth all around our windowsills. I'll see if I can put some on the exterior as well, just to keep any from coming in. Um, I mean, there's nothing really. We keep everything, sealed and stuff, and we don't like have sweets like that. So my only worry is I'm not sure if they would, I don't know, mess with my plants. I don't think so. I really don't think so. But I'm just gonna try to nip it in the bud before it becomes an issue. So sorry, I was like I swore I kept feeling them. If you see one, let me know. Um, oh yes, Suzanne, yes. When you see a mosquito and then all of a sudden you feel like like yeah, the feeling like takes over. Um, and what else? Oh yeah, so the Nolan greenhouses. So, um, I had the opportunity to go on Saturday morning to the New York Botanical Garden and to check out the Nolan greenhouses, which are not open to the public. So, they are predominantly, so that's the, um, Phyllis says that they'll see all our plants and think that they're outdoors. Hey, probably. Um, and yeah, so these greenhouses, so it's like a grouping of greenhouses. So there's different zones. So there is like a jungle, like a very humid hot house. Then there is like a temperature controlled like grow house. Then there is a much cooler grow house. And then there is their desert kind of the cacti, succulent type of area. There's xeric area as well. So we had this opportunity to talk to two folks that manage those greenhouses. So that was super, super cool. And yeah, we got to walk around and actually see a lot of these plants. So some of these plants are just mainstays from the collection. So there is one philodendron, for instance, that has been there. I believe it's a cordatum. That has been there since the garden has been there. So it has been growing all that time. Yes, Suzanne, it's like the nursery for the garden. They can produce over 70,000 plants in those gardens per year. But right now, on average, I think they were talking about anywhere from like 10 to 20, but that they do have the capacity to do more. Uh, so they have plants that need extra care that have been in the garden for a very long time in like, greenhouse settings. They have, which I freaked out when I saw it because the philodendron jopii, which I also hear pronounced yopii, but I saw one and I was able to bring a guest. So I brought Brian with me so that he could geek out with me. And we passed this philodendron and I turn and I go, wait, is that a yopii? And I forgot I had hung back a little bit because I think I was looking at the anthuriums or something. And Brian was like, yeah, he was telling us, the tour guide, that yopii is one of the first that had come into the country and that they've had it forever. So they had some really old philodendrons in there. They had an anthurium, clarinervium, that has been there for um, at least 100 years. And yeah, it's 100 years old, and that they have like repeatedly propagated, cut, and shared out. Um, so they have like, yeah, so some like really important plants that are have been very, were brought specifically to the garden to cut and propagate. There are some for scientific study, so either for conservation purposes, for like medicinal varieties that are important to like ethnobotanical studies that the garden has done. So they're there as well. And then and then some like for like genetic diversity, and there's specimens there that you can only find now um in botanical gardens, because the forests that they came from, the regions that they came from, are no longer either hospitable for that species, or it has been deforested and that forest doesn't exist anymore. So you can only find these plants in botanical gardens because they will share with one another, so that it continues to survive, but it's no longer found in its native region. So they have those types of plants. And then they also have plants that they're growing for the exhibit. So they grow all of the plants for their exhibits. And right now, they're only weeks away from their Alice in Wonderland exhibit, which I'm super excited to see. And they have some of like the kookiest uh, plants that they're growing. I was having so much fun, and it was kind of giving us a sneak peek before everybody else can see them. And they were telling us how they actually start those plants out, many of which need to grow a little bit longer. They start them a year in advance. And so they had a bunch of really cool plants. They're going to be doing like a meadow for Alice in Wonderland. They have all these hanging plants that they put together for Alice, and a bunch of them were ant plants. So it's very, I think it's just weird, like synchronicity, that we're starting to see these ants in the house. And uh and I was just in love. There were so many different types of ant plants. So plants, it's kind of like a umbrella term, because these are plants that many of them are in different, there are the specific species that are called ant plants, but overall it was kind of like an umbrella term for a bunch of different plants that had these relationships with ants. They have either like hollow modified stems, or hollow, or like root nodules that they create so that the ants can actually live in their roots. Also, the there's like different types of leaves too, like Dischidias, or like Hoya imbricata, that they grow, and they kind of create like a suction cup. And so it's like a little shelter for the ants to go in. Um, and they were just showing us all these really cool plants. And so I took a bunch of video. They were also showing us a sneak peek. They said we could take video. I'm sorry, pictures, but we couldn't take video of they have some lilies. So it have you ever seen giant like the giant lilies? So I'm gonna show you here the giant lily pads. They're from the Amazon. Um, they're itty bitty right now. They're only this big, so they're just starting them. But in the next few months, they're going to continue to grow, and then they're going to put them on display. And they're one. I think they are either the biggest or one of the largest lily pads in the world. And he said they can get like 6 feet across, 6 to 7 feet across. Um, Here we go. And you can see even like on the undersides, but they're so big that you could like sit in them. Uh, Really, really cool. Here we go, just so that you can see. So, whoops, pop-ups. Here we go. So, yeah, really cool, really, really cool. But right now they're itty bitties. They're just babies. But they were showing us the seeds, and they kind of look. They reminded me of 4 o'clock seeds. If you're familiar with 4 o'clocks, um, they look like little grenades. I used to collect them. 4 o'clock seeds. Let me see if seed pods. Here we go. These. So I used to collect these when I was little. So you collect them. They grow right at the base of the flower, but they're kind of right on top. And I would love just to collect them. And I swear that they look like little grenades to me when I was little. And I used to just love collecting them. I found it so much fun here, so you could see how they kind of nestle themselves when they develop. They just develop right there, so you just kind of pick it just like that. And it looked very much like that, a little bit larger, like the size of a blueberry. And they said that they collect them, they had received them, and then they start them in an aquarium, and then they move them out to the smaller pond that we were actually looking at them in. So I'm super excited to see how big they're going to be letting them grow before they start to display them. But they had two varieties. And so this super large one, but right now, again, still small, and another one um, as well that had more of like a green, the background, sorry, the background, the backside of the leaf, the abaxial side was green, and then they had this one that was like a burgundy. Um, really cool. Super excited to see them grow. Um, yeah, it was really awesome. And so just so that you see, here we go. These are the Nolan greenhouses so that you could see. And what's really cool is that they were explaining to us that these aren't just your, greenhouse, um, that don't think of them as a just a glass house, right? But rather as this like living, breathing machine. So they're all computer operated. They all have the capacity for these roofs to actually open, and they're all filled with like these fans. There's warming that's like the warmth, the heat is built into the floors, so they can control temperature, humidity, how much air circulation, everything is highly controlled and different in each of the sections, and it's all operated, and it's the horticulturalists, everything in terms of managing the species. They also had these shades that are able to like be peeled back and kind of come and cloak everything so that they could trick plants into thinking that they had two growth cycles, so they would darken it for a little bit and then add light all night. And it tricks the plants into thinking that they got an extra light cycle. So they think 2 days passed versus one. They can also make it, dark in the middle of the day to trick the plants into thinking that it's night. So they were just showing us it's all completely controlled, and by, behind a computer. However, the thing that they do manually still after all this time, it's never been any different, is watering. Because even though some of these plants have similar, needs in terms of lighting, temperature, and humidity, they all are. There's so many different. It's such a wide diversity of species, right? This wide range of species. They all have different watering requirements, and so the horticulturalists on staff need to just know how much water to give these plants, and they have to just go and water each plant individually. So I was like, oh, okay. It made me feel it was a little you feel a little validated. Um, because I was like, oh, okay, great. Because I was expecting that, oh, they must have their water automated. But no, still the same problem that many of us have, which is, yeah, if you have a wide range um of species, and they all have different watering requirements, and so you do have to take that extra time to make sure that yeah, you give each plant exactly what it needs in terms of watering. So it was very, very cool experience. So I'm going to try to see if how I can share a little bit here with you. Let me see, because I know I asked Brian to send me some of the videos because my phone started to lose battery. Um, and let me see here. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can share this. All right. So let's see. So one thing that we got to see was that their azaleas are in bloom. Let's see if it'll, yeah. So many different types of azaleas. This was really cool. This one's a hybrid. And what was really neat is that you can see that the majority of the plant is white with these beautiful, like hot pink stripes, um, markings right on the flowers. But it was from the same plant, this kind of red and like a hotter pink was sports were kind of coming out, and so this was like genetic remnants from the parents. And so the tour guide was just showing us that, yeah, even on the same plant, they have checked and it's the same stems. So they're just producing different varieties. But this is how you get all those varieties. So more than likely, the parents were these, lighter pink and red, and they got this mutation with the white. That's what they were going for. And it now is some of those stems have reverted back to the original coloring. So it's really neat, but they're not cutting it off, so they're just gonna kind of see where it goes. But it was really cool to see so many varieties of azaleas. Look at that. These are absolutely gorgeous. Azaleas are toxic, just for folks to know, but I mean, look at that the variation in color. It was absolutely beautiful. And if you can see in the center there, hopefully this is zooming in here, there is this camera that was set up by one of their in-house photographers at the garden, and it's a time lapse camera. So it's actually been there for a few weeks. So apparently, I mean, it was a fun fact for me, but while the garden has photos of, I mean, millions of photos of their plants, they really haven't experimented. They haven't had photographers experiment with time lapse for their like garden archives. And so one of their in-house photographers decided he really kind of wanted to play around with that to show how the spaces change throughout the seasons. And so he set this up, and he's really excited to see how it turns out. Um, I was just, wow, floored by that color. Yeah, the paths, I mean, it's a whole little walking path for you to enjoy the azaleas. Oh, here we go. These were super, super tiny violets that I was looking at. Let me see here. Yeah, they're super, super, super small. I was really curious what the variety is because Yeah, it was definitely not something I was familiar with. Oh, here we go. So there were crab apples that were also in bloom. So the cherries are starting to go. Uh, we can't enjoy them much longer. Um, but the crab apples have come out in full display, looking absolutely gorgeous. So it was just amazing. Um, and then there were the tree peonies. So for any of you who might be fans of peonies, let me see here. There we go. I'll turn off that audio because there was so much wind that morning. Let me see, but just spectacular. So we had the photographers actually giving us this section of the tour, which was really neat, giving us tips on how to um, capture movement, how to fill the frame, ways to kind of manipulate the camera to get really interesting shots. And it was a really cool opportunity. I really love that. To see how I can make it so it doesn't play the audio every every single time. But the tree peonies are out. They are blooming early this year, so uh, they are out and ready to be looked at. And the lilacs as well. So the lilac, let me see here. There we go. It was spectacular. It smelled like heaven. So this the whole walkway, just full of different types of lilac, all different colors. They had these pinks, like lavender, more of like a periwinkle. They had like the whites, all like a deeper like magentas. It was absolutely beautiful. So if you are in New York City and you're in and you want to really just dig into these spring smells, come to the New York Botanical Garden. It was a really magical sensory experience. I was really happy to be able to have gone. And it was like perfect timing. The day ended up also being absolutely beautiful. Weather was great. It's and we were there before the rain started, so it just everything was ended up being perfect and absolutely marvelous. Smelled so good. Definitely check that out. Um, and then let me see here. Yeah, I had to steal Brian's phone because I was certainly uh taking way too many photos and my battery decided, you know what? No more. But let me see if I can share on here. Oh yes. I saw this yesterday. Let me see, maybe it'll come here. Let me see, wait, make it lower. There we go. So a variegated Solomon seal that's growing in my neighbor's front yard. So Solomon seal, I believe this variegated cultivar is a Japanese variety. Absolutely beautiful plant. Oh, Mozart is locked in the room and asking me to let him out. Give me 1 second. Hey, buddy, how'd you get here? Oh my goodness. Sorry, I didn't know. I just hear his little helpless meows. Yeah. Oh, the flowering bush bean. I'm not familiar with that. Hold on, Adeline. Let me check what that is. A flowering? You said flowering bush bean or bean bush? Hold on, let's see what it was. Bush bean. Bush that is not bush bean. Flowering bush bean. Here we go. Let me share my screen here. So, oh. I guess it's like a,
I just planted a few seeds uh, only a couple of weeks ago, and right now there's a couple that are almost a foot tall. So I'm thinking it's got to be something that's a climbing bean, but on the package the picture is just absolutely filled with white flowers.
yeah, I mean a lot of beans they're climbing. You can set up like a little trellis or something for them to latch onto and they'll go to town. But yeah, the flowers, wow. I'm trying to see because it looks like it's just like a common name for these types of the bush beans are determinate. I hadn't heard, I don't think I've ever heard of any of them referred to as bush beans. Um, can be broken down into three types. There we go. Snap beans, okay, green shelling beans, and dry beans. Oh, and they do not. Oh, so they don't grow on vines, but instead they grow like shrub-like plants that can stand without support. Oh, that's great. Okay. So no need for a trellis. Oh, they're easy to grow. That is cool. I have never come across these. That is cool. That is super, super neat. Definitely send pictures. I want to see what they end up looking like. That is neat. Let me see.
The first time that I've ever heard of a bean with fantastic flowers. I mean, I certainly know what beans are and what bush beans are, but this is the first time I saw that. So I thought, oh, I've got to get this. So it was just magnificent white flowers.
Yeah, I mean, there are some beans that have really gorgeous, like that family of plants have some really gorgeous flowers. I really like the one. I think it's is it butterfly? Is it butterfly pea? Butterfly pea? I think it might be. Yeah, these. I just love how deep purple it looks blue.
Oh,
I
that's
think they're
gorgeous.
absolutely gorgeous. And when you make the tea, it can it like with the pH, you mess with the pH by adding like lemon or lime, and you can change it from like a blue to a purple. But I just think the color is so captivating. Um, absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, no, there are some pea flowers that are just wow. Wow. I really like I think they're called Scotch broom flowers and they grow like shrubs. Um yes, here we go. It kind of gives you that like forsythia type of look, but our neighbor a few blocks down, like 3 blocks down has this variety. Let me see. It might be this one. I think it's this one. And it just has this like yellow to orange to red coloration to it that's just it's it's blend. It's just it's gorgeous. It looks so beautiful. It looked almost like the bush is on fire. It looked so gorgeous. Uh, love it, love it, love it, love it. Um, there's this great oh man, who it's by? Oh, I think it's by the same author who wrote Botany in a Day. He wrote Shalala's Quest, I believe. I believe that's how it is called. Shala's. I think it's Tom Elphil and something Quest book. Let me just put here. Shinleia. There we go. Shinleia's Quest in this book here, and it's a children's book for folks but I was reading it as an adult. Totally read it as an adult because it's super helpful. It actually shows this character. She's on like a mission. I don't want to give too much away, but she travels from island to island, and each island is a different family of plants. And I loved it when she went to the pea family, because it just showed the structure of the flowers, and so the wing and the keel, and it made it look like her canoe was the keel. Uh, absolutely. Absolutely gorgeous. Um, oh, Scotch broom. I know it's part of the pea family, so it's in the Fabiaceae family. But I'm not sure. I don't think Forsythia is in the Fabiaceae family. I think it splits. Like a corona that splits into four petals. I'm not sure what family Forsythia is in. Forsythia, there you go. They are in the let's see. Family. Oh, and the oleander family. Oh, sorry, olive family. Olive family. Cool. See, I did not know that. That is cool. Yeah, so they have these flowers that look like this. So they aren't like completely separate petals. It's kind of like it's fused and it's split almost down to the base, but not completely. But these are a great sign of spring, that spring is here. So if you know, we have them here in New York City. A lot of them are planted like right along the parkways, and so it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful to see. As soon as you see that yellow, you're like, all right, yeah, spring, spring is here. They are really really beautiful. Yeah. All right, let me see how I can share some of these videos. Aha. Okay, so how do let me see how I can, so, okay. I'm trying to see how, it looks like I can indeed share it on my computer. We're gonna experiment right now. So, are you able to see the image? Let me know if someone can unmute themselves. Let me see.
Yes.
Ah, perfect. Yes, it worked. Okay. I was like, I know in theory we should be able to do this. What's really cool is that Camille was there, and for those of you who might not know her work yet, um, Camille is awesome, and I met her through through the New York Botanical Garden, and she wrote this really great book, and it's called Happy Plants, Happy You. Really, really great book. Definitely check it out. Gorgeous photography. Absolutely, it's stupendous. It's a really, really beautiful book. Um, Super enjoyable. You really feel like you're the way when you're reading it, you feel like you're just like talking to a fellow plant friend. And you can really feel her passion like jumping out through the page. So, if you haven't checked out Happy Plants, Happy You, uh, it's a really great plant book if you want to add to your plant book collection. But let me see here. Okay, so this is when we were first getting in, and here is when we were just being led into the main areas, and I was already trying to get as much footage as I could. I was losing my mind at the prospect of entering those rooms. Um, it it was so gorgeous. That was a cacao. So let me see if I can right before we get in here. So right there. So that there's that palm, and then right next to it is a cacao tree. And so that cacao tree was actually outside. It was being used in they have like this kind of half moon shaped garden that is what was being primarily used as their it was like Afro-Caribbean exhibit. So it was all species that were brought, um, from Africa and introduced to the Caribbean, or plants that are endemic to the Caribbean or had been brought by like colonists to the Caribbean and have become very part of their culture or economy. And chocolate, cocoa was one of those plants that has become uh, something that is very much used. And so in that beautiful cacao tree was on display, and so now they brought it in. So if you go now, all of the gorgeous plants that were there, they weren't meant to overwinter. They can't survive. So right now there's kind of like a more of a viewing garden, and they have the poetry that they had up. They like blew it up on these large um, kind of displays. And so you could still walk around and learn about the plants that had been there and enjoy also the poetry. But they're going to be putting more things, and they're working more with Dr. Jessica Harris, who is the one who curated that exhibit. And she's the one who wrote the book High on the Hog. And also, they did the Netflix documentary High on the Hog as well. So if you haven't checked that out, that one's great too. The book is wonderful, and the documentary series is wonderful, powerful, incredibly informative. So also just another recommendation. So check that out. Let me see here, and then this is when we initially go in. So right off the bat, I noticed this Cissus triangularis that is this hanging plant that you see that looks very odd. And so that is a family member of the grape family. And I have a few that I started as cuttings that I have in my collection. So it was cool to see a larger specimen. Um, Let me see here. Yeah, some crotons. They had some bromeliads. This was I was trying to show how the roof looks. I was trying to get the equipment because that's what he was talking about at that moment. So, and you can see these shades. They're in different layers, and so they do have that capacity to darken it, um, and it just control that level of sunlight that's coming in. And then they have these like air. It was like what did they call them? Humidity. I'm forgetting, I don't think ionizers was the word, but they have these huge, massive um, fans on the sides that are circulating the air, and then they had these kind of filters that were doing something. They were doing something with the humidity specifically. So it was just wow, huge. I think I get it. I think I get it into yeah. It was on the side. Hold on. I think I go over. There we go. Those things up there. Um, there were some gorgeous crotons. Um, there were some Thunbergia. So these are some plants that they are growing for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit. Those are donkey ears, if you're familiar with the kalanchoes. Um, some really, really gorgeous flowers. But I'm trying to see. Here they had the cordyline. Oh, here we go. Look at this plant. Um, Look at the flowers. Pretty fun flowers. So they were specifically growing very wacky and odd looking flowers for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit, including some of those like large donkey ear plants. They were also growing begonia looking glass, so that begonia has a very like silvery type of iridescence on it. And so they were showing us that these are some of the ones. It's going to be a lot of like just odd shapes, a lot of like silvers. There's a lot of silvers that are going to be part of that exhibit. Um, and I had never seen this plant before, so it was definitely interesting to see. Uh, Super excited that we got like this sneak peek. This one, he said it was called a house maple, and so I need to look more into it. I swore it was a type of hibiscus, especially based on the flower. Um, so I didn't ask him what family this plant was in, but just from looking at it, I mean, the leaf shape and as well as the flower shape, I really think it's, you know, part of the marshmallow family, which is, you know, in the hibiscus family, but it has this gorgeous variegation. And he said that this plant was actually very, very popular in in Victorian times. So it was often kept as a house plant. So you can keep it outside, like during the warmer months, and then just bring it inside and keep it as a house plant throughout the winter and then put it back outside. And these can grow to be like a small shrub. Uh, so absolutely gorgeous. I loved. He said that the variegation was his favorite aspect of this plant. I definitely agree. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I want to look more into it. Especially because it does have those maple-like leaves. So it does I don't think it's an actual maple. The flowers, no. I really don't think it's an acer of any kind. I'm much more leaning towards a hibiscus. So if anyone's familiar with this one, definitely let me know. I haven't had a chance to research the plants that we looked at on Saturday yet, but I know I will be going down a rabbit hole with that. Uh, which is apt, I guess, for the Alice, Alice and an unintended pun there, but for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit, I was enamored by this plant. I just thought it was absolutely gorgeous. Um, but you could see that the flowers very much is like a hibiscus. So I'm gonna go with that. He was here showing us that flower. So yeah, I think it is in the marshmallow family. Um, these, I believe he said they were heliotrope as well. Um, we got some. Oh, here we go. This one was really neat. So this is a trailing violet. Um, I was not familiar with this species, but they were able to cultivate it and they're growing them in these just large baskets like this because they just cascade down. So these are how these violets grow. So unlike different violets that we might know from our yards, these will just grow with these long rhizomes, and they'll just trail just these large masses, and really beautiful little violet flowers. Also a species I was not familiar with. I had never seen this before. So this actually makes me want to see if I can get some to grow in baskets, because I would absolutely love that. I love violets. The flowers, they're very short-lived flowers, but um, just, they're one of my favorite spring flowers. And so that'd be wonderful to grow and have these like really hefty baskets. And I don't mind if the baskets are basically green for the majority of the year. um, I would be happy. That's totally fine. I would do that totally. Um, but this was really, really cool. And they said it was an Australian variety. So yeah, I want to dig more into that. Oh, here's just an example. So this is in the Kalanchoe family, and they will propagate asexually via these little plantlets that they grow on the edges of their leaves. And so, oh, and I was also showing the the trailing violet. These were cool. These were called angel's trumpets. They're in the Solanaceae family. Solanaceae, there we go, family. So tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, datura, if you're familiar with datura, or Jimson weed. These are all in the same family, and these are highly toxic, known for their hallucinogenic properties, used by the indigenous peoples for those purposes. Um, and there were some blooms. A lot of the blooms were spent, but we had the opportunity to at least have that bloom. And he says that at night, because they are night blooming, so one of their main pollinators are like moths, sometimes bats as well. And at night, he says that when they are in full bloom, it's just intoxicating, incredibly, incredibly fragrant. I tried to take a picture here just to show how I just love the shape. Absolutely gorgeous. Just wow. Here, yeah, I was trying to catch the star type of look. And if you actually look at other flowers in this family, you look at your tomato flowers, your eggplant, even potato flowers, a lot of, tomato, potato. Um, these flowers, they are indeed, they have five, they look like they have five petals, very star-like in shape. Um, so yeah, and there are a lot of toxic species. There is a book that I haven't finished it, that I got, that's called, I think it's 50 Plants from Around the World, or 50 Plants Travel Around the World, something like that. But one of the opening um, plant that they talk about is the tomato, and how the tomato originally, when it started kind of being introduced to Europe, it was still its yellow variety. And in Europe, the family members of that plant were known to be toxic, and so that was not alluring to them in any way. But through more cultivation, they started to get red varieties of the tomato, and it started to be used in like stews and sauces, and it started to become much more widely accepted once the color, I guess, didn't ring any alarm bells with that yellow. And folks realized, like, oh, I didn't drop dead after having this as a sauce. So the tomato started to become much more widely accepted, but that at first it was very, very hard for folks to convince other people to actually eat it, because this family is just so known for its toxic family members that it definitely overshadowed its edible family members. So yeah, it's a very interesting plant family. And here is how, and these flowers, they hang down upside down like that. Um, and it's not open right now, and so you can't really see how gorgeous and large the opening actually is. But you could see how that's a very large flower in just even closed. Very, very beautiful flower. What was cool too is I wanted to get that on camera was that we were actually asking them, how do you manage pests? Because as houseplant growers, right, pests are just like something we usually have to deal with, and how do you deal with it? So they said that, well, a lot of, originally they were using chemicals that just ended up, being much more harmful, not only to the plants, but also to the people working there. And so in more recent decades, they shifted towards just purely biological and manual removal of pests. So um, also using things like horticultural oils, neem oils, just washing the plant. That sometimes just does the trick, or going in there, with your hands manually and just removing the pests. And then adding things like beneficial mites, lacewings, different types of beetles, things like that, where they're able to just they put the predators out just before they are expecting the plants to start growing so that the populations, like the protectors, are basically already there and on patrol before the pests come. And then they also make sure that they manage the proper kind of like external temperatures for those specific types of mites in that they're going to use in that zone. So certain types of these beneficial invertebrates, because it's not just insects. Sometimes some of them are arachnids, things like that. You need to also make sure that your like humidity is set right, the temperature set right, to help them survive so that they could then do their jobs. So it was really neat. I tried to zoom in and get some footage of some of their biological controls. And I want to just make like a couple different reels, um, kind of showing, oh, here are the packets for the mites that they were using. So they have them hanging in there. And here was some passion flower vine that they're growing as well. Um, Absolutely beautiful. Passion flowers are amazing. And he was actually explaining where the name comes from. And so I wasn't really aware of where the passion, like the word passion for that flower came from. But apparently it had a religious context, a religious history. And so it was seen as kind of representing, I think, the passion of the Christ. And so they believe that it was like the crown of thorns. It had this look to it. Um, and the little like the stigmas that they looked like the nails on the cross. It was really so these they named it the passion flower, and it had nothing to do with like love or anything when you think of the word passion. Um, so I thought that was a really cool bit of history. That is something I do like to explore, is where do these common names come from? So that was a neat fun fact that I was not aware of, where the name passion came from. So that was cool. Um, but yeah, these you can keep passion flowers, just so you know, you can keep passion flowers as a house plant. They are very fast growing indoors. I know a few folks that grow them indoors. I have a small little one um, in our bathroom that's it's propagating. It's just roots with some leaves right now, but yeah, you can grow passion flower vine at home. Um, they're not going to get necessarily pollinated. I guess you would probably have to hand pollinate them in order to get some passion fruit. So if you're a fan of passion fruit, that is where they come from, is from passion flowers. Um, Here was some like spiderwort. So that was in flower. Um, Here's just a close up of that passion flower. They just look like aliens. They definitely look very, very odd. And they're one of my favorite flowers. I love how odd they look, and they come in such a wide array of colors. Um, but I do have definitely one of my favorites is this purple this purple coloration. It looks just absolutely, absolutely insane. Um, yeah, here was so this plant that has like the green with the silver and it has like the burgundy back is the cissus discolor. Next to it is actually a vanilla orchid there. There was some philodendrons, rickrack cactus. There was like some pseudo ripsalis. Um, yeah, here you go, pseudo ripsalises that are turning that red, beautiful, beautiful color. So great. This was some type of thematophyllum, so related to philodendrons, and it used to be considered a philodendron, but then it was reclassified to thematophyllum. Um, yeah, these are all pseudorhipsalis, and they turn into this really brilliant red color when they get sun stressed. Ficus, if you know rubber trees, some variegated rubber trees. Ocotillo, I think is that how you pronounce it? Ocotillo? 'Cause I don't think it's Ocotillo. I think it's Ocotillo, but I'm not sure. Uh, growing right behind that. Then there's this really gorgeous fern. Um, these beautiful, beautiful, like they had like foxtail ferns. These flowers, I fell in love with them. It has like a little bubble, and you can boink them. You can just really beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And these were, as he also explained, were also very popular during Victorian times. And this was a very common house plant. You just kept them as house plants, and they are so many different colors and um, beautiful. There was one I saw, I think I took a picture of it, that was yellow with these red spots on them. And it just gave me like a little mushroom vibe. And he said that these were very common, but as our houses became much more insulated, our houses became too warm to have them as houseplants anymore. And so they fell out of, fashion because people couldn't keep them happy anymore in their houses. And so, unfortunately, they kind of fell out of fashion. And the plants that we know today, like a lot of the tropical plants, are the ones that kind of started to incrementally rise to the more popular because of those reasons, because our homes were now able to keep a pretty consistent temperature and usually, around like high 60s, maybe 70 for most homes. And so that you the plants that love that type of temperature are going to be insanely happy, and these that prefer slightly cooler temperatures are just not gonna do as well. Um, this was some type of clover. I was not familiar with it. I thought it was so beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Um, but I had never come across it before. Let me see if I can do a closer look. Like, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And it is a trifolium. So it's in the clover family. Um, I was not familiar with it, but I definitely took a picture because I want to look for it. And I would love to grow this. I just thought it was absolutely beautiful. They had a bunch of pots of them, and just that coloration, I it's insane. I thought that was so beautiful. Um, these are some plants that they're growing for their meadow that they're going to be putting for the exhibit. I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to see this. Um, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be like a meadow you can just walk and walk through and check out. And they're including a lot of plants that also smell amazing. So there were different types of like I think he was showing us a chocolate daisy, and it does indeed smell like chocolate. Um, and a lot of tactile things, a lot of plants that are really fuzzy. So they want it to be very interactive. So it's gonna look really cool, smell amazing, smells you wouldn't expect to smell. And yeah, the plants that are like really fuzzy, things that you can touch. and really enjoy to give everybody like this ultimate experience, like a full on, full sensory experience. Oh, and then these, I think those were the sweet peas that they're growing on these trellises. Um, I thought that was so cool. They were able to move the all these little tables around because I wanted to touch the fuzzy plant. And then this is when I think I saw that yellow version of that flower. I think, oh, here I was looking at the clover. I think here it is. Um, isn't that just spectacular? And they really are like air filled. It looks like a little gullet. I don't know. It just looks really neat. Oh, there we go. Um, Calceolaria, Calceolaria. Um, yeah, I wanna actually see if this is something I'd be able to. And they start all of these from seed. There's only a few that they actually start from cuttings. So I would love to explore this, to try to see if I could get some of these plants that were popular in the Victorian times and try to grow them at home. Um, yeah, this was the sweet pea. It smelled exquisite. Oh, so, so good. Gorgeous bicolor kind of look to it. Really, really beautiful. So super, super excited. I mean, there was just amazing colors. It was just, I was losing my mind. These gorgeous columbine. These were huge, and they were telling us that they're dwarf columbine, but the flowers were just so big, much much larger than the regular columbines that we see here. And I forgot to ask if these were like the Colorado variety, because they very much look like them, but they were so so beautiful. I love the shape of columbine flowers. And these were interesting because usually columbines are pointing downwards and these were pointing upwards. And here they were showing us where they sprout some of their seeds. So a lot of them they had started their growing season much earlier. So a lot of the majority of the plants they were set to grow and start are already out and about. But they still had a few that they were kind of staggering off, um, and still in the process of sprouting. Just absolutely gorgeous. Uh, these are apparently open to the public, uh, sometimes for special occasions, but that the most that they're open to the public is twice a year. So super super excited that I was able to check that out. Um, just oh, these were cool too. And they were showing us that they're covered in these little hairs and that they're very effective at catching fungus gnats. Now, they're not carnivorous species, so they're not digesting the fungus gnats, but that it's a happy accident. So, that some of those pests just naturally get stuck and impaled, on these little hairs that they have along the stem. And that they just made like the neatest, prettiest sticky traps. Uh, but again, they're not, consuming any of those insects, but um, they're just they just kind of get stuck there. Uh, but still really, really cool. These were cool, and it's called Fun in a Puff or Love. I no, sorry, Love in a Puff, which I thought was such a great common name. And it's just this the seed pods of these teeny tiny little flowers produce this really perfectly symmetrical, like green little ball of this little sphere. Um, so it's called Love in a Puff. Absolutely gorgeous. Super cool. It reminded me of the Asclepias of the milkweed that create those green balls, which it's a horrible common name. The horrible common name of hairy green balls. That's the literal common name of those plants. Um, and like anything else. Like maybe they could have called them balloon pods or something. But but yeah, no. I definitely like this common name for this plant, love in a puff. I think that's perfect. And really cool plant as well. These were eucalyptus. So if you're not familiar, there's different types of eucalyptus. Um, we were moving on to a lot of the plants that have already been started. Uh, Here you could see people touching, and so this is Mimosa pudica. This is one of my favorite plants, and it's also known as the sensitive plant. So it's becoming more popular here. I'm seeing a lot of people, you know, actually collecting these and having these in their homes now. They are very sun loving. I have tried, I think, on three separate occasions. I can't seem to get them right. So I might try another way in a tank to see if that might keep them happy. But they're really cool plants and they actually respond to external stimuli. So when you touch them, they close. And what I love about them is several years ago, when I was reading um, the What a Plant Knows. What a Plant Knows. The author was talking about these studies that were done on memory in plants and how they uh, did these experiments with Mimosa pudica, in which they would drop the plant repeatedly. So they would drop it from a height, I believe, of like 3 to 4 feet. They would drop it, and when it would fall, it would immediately close because it was sensing movement. But after a while, it would be dropped, and it was kind of dropped like in a chute. So it wasn't like just kind of, thrown or anything. It was like a very controlled drop where the leaves weren't getting damaged, but they were being kind of rattled. Um, and at first, the plant would respond by closing. And then after a while, the plant realized, hey, I'm not being eaten or anything. And so it would stop reacting when it was dropped. And when they would use their control plants that either had never been dropped or were dropped, once in the last week or something like that, they would respond by closing. And the plants that got used to being dropped repeatedly stopped responding. And so this is really cool. Uh, we know that plants have to kind of fine tune what they react to. You definitely don't want, as a plant, right, to react every time there's wind or being like rained on. If the plant goes into high alert every single time that something is brushing up against it, this can cause, extra stress on the plant. It's producing much more. It's like kind of wasting resources because it's like either it's moving, it's wasting energy because it has to move, or if it thinks, oh, I'm under attack, I need to prepare, these compounds, bitter compounds, and pump or like release a gas to like warn either other parts of yourself or other plants near you that we have an attacker. That's all eating up energy for the plant. And so plants need to kind of learn these types, how to differentiate these types of stimuli. And that book, What a Plant Knows, is really cool because it kind of shows you how plants see, right? Because they're not seeing the way we do, but just how do they kind of recognize things around them? How do they, quote unquote, like smell? Um, so how is it that they are actually sensing? So it's kind of comparing the senses that plants have to human senses, but then showing you how that kind of analogous sense works in plants. It's a really great book. It's a short little book, but it also comes with a free course called What a Plant Knows. It's a two-part course that's available on Coursera for free. So check it out if you haven't had a chance to or read the book because it's wonderful. But yeah, that was an example of some really cool like Mimosa pudica. And I know Mimosa pudica as dormilona, which means like sleepyhead, because when I would visit Costa Rica as a child, they're everywhere. It's considered a weed. And I would love it when we would go to the park and I would just run my hands over them And because they're kept relatively short, you don't really see like the tall, bushy ones, because it's usually like lawns where they're being cut down, and they kind of grow more like a spreader, kind of like a clover here. And but they will react when you touch them. So it's a really cool plant to have if you haven't had a chance to play around with it. If you ever see it in a store, like definitely just run your finger on it. It's really cool. And here we were getting a sneak peek at their chrysanthemum exhibit. So apparently it's a very niche exhibit. Only like a few people come to see it. Um, it's not something necessarily that's going to be open to the public, but they use these old practices to get them to bud, where they will it's all done by hand, so they manually pinch them back, the tops as they're growing, and so like a hydra, so they pinch them back to the last node, and so where one growth point was, it splits into two growth points, and then they go and they nip each of those growth points, and so that splits into two, and so on and so forth until they make these plants that will have dozens of flowers on them eventually. They're in the process of still doing that, and it's supposed to be this amazing chrysanthemum exhibit. I want to see if I can get more details because if I can check it out, I'd love to. Um, but a very cool practice. So and the plant that's actually closer in view on lower that you see, it kind of looks like these glossy leaves. Those are bat flowers, taka. They're not in flower yet. But I really like bat flowers. They're very odd looking, very alien, very alien looking. These were different types of coleus that they are sprouting. So they had some coleus. Here are some different types of bromeliads, some very odd bromeliads. Some bromeliads that were in flower. Back, oops, here we go. Let me go over here. There we go. So these are bromeliads that are in flower. And then on the wall, you can see like on that grid, they have a bunch of different species of tillandsia, which are also in the bromeliad family. Um, but those are known more so as air plants. So they had a wide variety of them. And so a lot of these were just removed from the exhibits that they had. They had the orchid show exhibit. There were a lot of bromeliads on display with they had like some sculptures that were dressed in actual plants. So the plants were the clothes. And they had these really beautiful, a lot of bromeliads were used for that exhibit. So this is where they come and they also deconstruct the exhibits and then they try to see how to repurpose them. And I was actually talking to one of the head botanists there and asking, well, a lot of these bromeliads, let's say, um, like Tillandsia, many are monocarpic, which means that they will die after they flower. So do you do anything to like make them last longer? Do you cut off the flower stalk? And they said yes, that they do. They actually, when if they see a flower stalk on like their bromeliads, for instance, and they would rather, they need it to last longer for the exhibit, that they will go ahead and cut off the flower stalks so that it keeps its energy within the plant itself, instead of focusing its energy on the flower, and then it starts the process of dying back and creating pups. And so, yeah, they do indeed cut off the flowers to kind of prolong the plant's life so that it's they can still have it for the time that they need it. This was cool too. So this is huge rolls of sticky trap tape. And so these are for fungus gnats. So for those of you that are like, oh my gosh, I've had to deal with fungus gnats. Yes, fungus gnats are terrible. They can be annoying. They're definitely not going to be really harming your plants, but I feel your pain, right? They can be quite annoying. And they are prominent here in even in greenhouses. So they have to mitigate that with uh these rolls of like fly trap paper, essentially. Um, yeah, they had some really cool arrangements that they're preparing for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit. So pretty. Here they had like different types of geraniums. There was like some really cool variegation. So I hadn't seen them. These were really again more geraniums, but variegated. These smelled like chocolate. Uh, so good. And yeah, that they purposely selected a lot of these species, as I mentioned, for those purposes because they have some weird like scents and things like that that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Here I wanted to show that even, they have aphids um, in their plants, so it's a constant battle with pests when you're growing plants. But they said, you know what, it comes with the territory. So you're never not going to have some type of pest. If your plants are healthy, somebody's going to want to eat them, he said. So yeah, it makes sense. So it's just about vigilance, prevention. Um, but I guess he's just kind of reminded all of us, 'cause there was quite a few of us that were houseplant enthusiasts, that it's not a failure, right? If you see a pest, it doesn't mean that you messed up or anything. Um, yeah, it's just it comes with the territory. If you have the plants, the pests are not far behind. Here were some that were removed from those outfits that had been made using them. They were pruning a bunch of things back. There's some Dracaena. Um, yeah, it was all mounds of Spanish moss that they used. So I was just really trying to take it all in. Hilo Beauty. Yeah, there were these were a bunch of different types of peperomias. And he was actually telling us that a lot of the peperomias that they have, they considered noxious, like as noxious weeds or goldfish plants. Um, but that they consider weeds because they have this
Right, which is
habit.
the
Oh,
computer
oh,
thing.
oh, there we go. But that, yeah, they apparently once they put out their seeds, that they have a habit of falling into other pots and then sprouting, and they especially have issues with peperomia growing in their orchids, in their orchid collection, and that yeah, that they were pretty upset about all the peperomias growing like that. Let me see here. And then these were some of the ant plants, so that you can just see here. Uh, really cool. These were some ferns that actually grow with their root nodules are hollow, so that the ants can go and literally live inside of the plant itself. And then in exchange for shelter, sometimes some plants also produce like sugars that the ants can enjoy. In turn, the ants protect the plants. So if there's any pests or any like invader, something trying to eat the plant, they will go out and attack it because they're protecting their home or protecting their food source. Um, so it was definitely cool to see all these different types of plants that have these relationships, these gorgeous plants related sorry, not related. I got distracted here. Um, but yeah, creating a relationship. There we go. With ants. Just absolutely really cool, odd looking plants. Uh, just amazing, amazing, amazing. This was cool. So this is an Amorphalis. So yeah, Amorphalis, I think, or Morphalis, Amorphalis. I think that's the genus. These are the corpse flowers. So the giant corpse flowers. And so they were talking about how they had their corpse flower bloom, and they had sent pollen to another botanical garden, who then cross-pollinated it with their flower, and they produced seeds and sent them back to the garden, and they planted them, and now look how big they're coming in. uh, and what's really cool is this is one leaf, so this looks like a little tree, but it's actually one leaf. So that is just one stem. That's like basically the petiole that is growing out of this bulb that can be anywhere from 60 to 75 pounds. Imagine that. Um, but it's growing from there, and all of those, it looks like it's like a little tree, like a little palm tree or something. But that's all considered one leaf. So they're all leaflets, compound, like a compound leaf. And it's all just one. So really, really cool to see. And they said it's still like they're going to need to grow for a few more years before they're able to even, think about blooming. Um, but I'm excited. The only time I ever saw a corpse flower up close to blooming was when Brian and I went basically 10 years ago to the botanical garden in right by Niagara Falls. I think it's Ontario, Canada, and they had one, but we were early, so, and we weren't going to stay that long, uh, but we were a few days too early before the bloom, so uh, just missed it. But yeah, so it was very close to blooming, very, very close. And here's some anthuriums. So some of these plants were tagged. And so like the ones that were tagged with pink, it's because they were for sure being selected. They weren't specifically grown for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit, but rather they were plants that live in the greenhouses essentially full time, unless they're being kind of repurposed for a temporary exhibit. So then they're moved kind of to be put on display for a little while, and then they're moved back into the greenhouse so that they can be continued to be, properly cared for. But they live in pots for their the duration of their lives. So all of those are anthuriums, gorgeous, gorgeous anthuriums. So many different varieties of anthurium. So Brian and I were losing our minds because we definitely appreciate aeroids. Here's some cycads. These were very sharp. So we were trying our best to maneuver. Those were some fruit from an anthurium. They're much more, all of those were anthuriums. So they have them all together. Some philodendrons as well. More anthuriums. But yeah, oh man, so beautiful. Huge, huge leaves. So Brian and I were having a field day. Definitely checking these out. And here were some more of those ant plants. And so these are also specifically going to be used in the Alice in Wonderland exhibit. But these are also plants that have a relationship with ants, in which they have these modified stems that are hollow, and the ants actually live in the stems. And so they live within the plant. Um, and these are cool because even the fruit actually grow directly on the stem. So those little orange kind of berries are growing directly on the stem, and that's how they produce their fruit, right on those. Really cool looking. Uh, yeah, very, very odd, very, very odd. So I get why they would select these for the Alice in Wonderland exhibit because they are very kooky, very odd looking. But yeah, here is the Amorphalis titanium. This is one of the flowers, but still growing. It's gonna be a very long time before it grows. These were their staghorn ferns. Um, Huge. I think I do put my hand out at one point just to show you how big the staghorns are. Um, I think there you go. Just for you to see these monstrosities. Huge, huge, huge. And there's some of them are also going to be put on display. They also had some Hoyas that were blooming and smelled magnificent. They had basically a whole half row was just Hoyas. So I was definitely enjoying that and checking that out. And I think it was here where I I see the Jopi. I think it was around there that I saw the Jopi. But these are all like Ripsalis, Lipsiniums, um, just all different types of like rainforest cacti. The trees that you're seeing there are not trees. Those are also um, amorphalis. So those are those giant corpse flowers. So those are further along than the small seedlings, but they still need more time. And that again, that whole tree, it looks like a giant tree, but it's still one leaf. That is just one leaf. Um, and but it's on its way. It's on its way. So it was very, very cool to see. This was a philodendron pedatum. Um, Here we go. And there is that Jopii or Yopii um, as well that has been there for decades, and it was one of the first that ever came into the country. And so we were all making jokes, of course, about them sharing cuttings, but they said that unfortunately they're not really able to do that, especially because a lot of the plants were marked for like scientific inquiry and things like that, and so they're supposed to kind of stay within the walls of the botanical garden. So but we asked. There were definitely a lot of plants that we all wish that we could take a little piece home with us to try. But unfortunately that we just have to enjoy them from afar. Um, but yeah, look at this Jopi. I'd never seen a plant this large. I've only seen small Jopi, so this was really cool to actually see one. And their moss poles are ginormous, uh, really huge moss poles. This looks like it might be a pastazanum or maybe a plummonii. Um, the horticulturalists, they weren't sure exactly. It wasn't properly tagged when it came in. And so they also weren't, they know it's a philodendron, but um, they weren't exactly sure on the ID. But look at those aerial roots. It just, and the stems, amazing, amazing. And how thick those moss poles are. It was very, very cool. And back there is that philodendron cordatum, a Hartley philodendron, that they've had since the opening of the botanical garden, um, as well. So yeah. And oh yeah, this was when they were posting that we were there and checking out the collection. Um, but yeah, it was super, super, super cool. I really had a lot of fun. I got a lot of footage. I want to put it together and show everyone. But oh man, I definitely was checking that out. Um, oh yeah, and so Suzanne says some greenhouses use hedge trimmers on early growth to make the plants bushy. Yes, yes. So that's definitely a great way to kind of bush out your plants is clipping it back, pruning it back. That's something you can even do like with like especially like herbs, like basil is very known for that. So especially if you see like flowers coming in or is starting to kind of grow too columnar, like too up, and you want it to kind of grow out, just doing some pinching, and it'll start to really fill out for you. So that's always wonderful. Um, yeah, and yeah, of course, Barbara. Oh, need help with some small jade cuttings. Let's see. Currently in a cup of water, what size of a pot? Okay, let's look. Oh, and it was the nursery essentially for the New York Botanical Garden. So they were giving us a tour of their kind of closed to the public greenhouses. So it was super neat. I got to
That's
nerd
what
out.
I thought. That is like the greatest place on earth. We just
It
don't get
really
there
is.
anymore. I know. Anyway, thank you. These guys
Yeah.
are rooting in tiny. They got the tiny, but they're rooting. And I have two of them, and the cup is like it's a tiny cup. It's like a 5 ounce, 4 ounce, 5 ounce little disposable paper thing. But at this point, a lot of leaves were falling off. So I put those on dry cactus soil. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I hope that some of them will not die, that they will sprout, but they might just dry up. But anyway, yeah, this one is going super. Where is it? Is going super.
Yeah.
And the other one, but they're tiny. They're tiny. It's maybe like 3 inches, 2.5 inches. This one is iffy because it had little baby roots, but it's taken a beating. If roots come out in the middle stalk, in the middle, what do you call it, node or notch, that would be great. If they don't, this bottom may be done for, because that's where the leaves were coming off. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. That's tiny. But I want to
Yeah.
show you, if you have 1 minute,
Sure.
in our pandemic quarantine, our potatoes are growing, have grown potatoes. 1 second, it's just too cute. You just have to see them, that I have potatoes in this, so tiny. We had fingerlings, and we just had little small Klondike potatoes, little tiny Klondikes. And now I have even tinier baby potatoes are all in here. It's amazing. We're just thrilled. It's just a fun thing.
That
So
is so
you guys
fun.
do it. Do not throw out those sprouting potatoes. They're just too
Yes.
much fun. Right here, sorry. This is my husband thinks these are garbage. And I'm just having I always have fun like my grandmother did before me. Okay, we're sharing time, but I thank you. I thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's a new
no.
one. That one's going to be a super plant. This one is already, it's one tiny potato, but it's on the way to being a super plant for spring. That one could go outside if I wanted, but I might leave it inside because I'm kind of afraid of squirrels and stuff right now.
Yeah, they'll
Thank you.
definitely go for
Thank
it.
you.
Of course. No, that is so cool. Yeah, no, potatoes are definitely fun to grow. Um, and oh yeah, and when you can actually harvest some, it's such a cool feeling. So that's wonderful.
So funny.
In
But yes,
in
my husband would
Mhm.
like to take all of it and say bye-bye. But I tell him these are toys for me. Computer is toys for him, but that's our
There you go.
privacy. You guys,
That that works, you know. I think it's the best vice to have is the plant bug.
drink to that. That's right. Drink to that.
Yeah, in terms of the jades, if you move them, oh, I think I got an eyelash in my eye. If you move them into a pot, I would probably say, let me see. I would probably say terracotta is going to be the best bet if you can't find, you could try like the itty bitty nursery pots.
Yeah,
Here,
I'm
I
sure I
have
have some.
these,
Sure, I do
I have
have
these
some
little,
in the pile.
let me see. I think these are 1 inch. I think these are 1 inch. Oh, here we go. Here, yeah. Yes. So here they have like these
Great.
are my tiny pots that I like to have. So I mean, these are super small. I think these are actually the one, yeah, these are the 1 inch.
I'll
Super
find
tiny.
some. I probably have some in this pile. Good.
So the tiny terracottas always work great for those, for like when your succulents are finally rooting, but they're not like fully rooted. So you don't want
Yeah.
something too big. If you can find these little itty bitty terracotta pots, they work
Oh,
great.
thank you.
And then they bottom water really wonderfully too. So you can just bottom water, it gets evenly moist, and then you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. But you could also see if you can find the little nursery pots, like they have the cubes in these that are anywhere from like an inch. You can get like I think these are the 2 inches. Yeah, these are the 2 inches. The little
Thank you so
cubes.
much.
Yeah, of course. And they're super inexpensive. So you can buy like packs of these and super cheap. And those are great for when you're um transferring those succulents into kind of like a drier mix from water propagation. So hence why I have so many of them, because I'm preparing for transferring over some myself. So I love having them on hand because they're really like perfect for that. Perfect for managing that. But yeah, I hope that helps.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, this is a cactus that I
Oh,
overwatered.
perfect.
Right, this is a cactus that I had high hopes for, a little tiny baby, but I must have killed it with kindness. So
Oh,
I saved and let the soil dry out. And if that's an okay size,
yeah,
I'll fish up a plain. I think I have some plain terracottas, but thank you so much.
yeah. You're welcome. No, that works
Wonderful.
perfectly. Good luck. Good luck with them. Yeah, so I hope you liked some of that footage. I really wanted to share some of that with you because yeah, folks don't get to see it. I was really excited to again have that chance. Um and I am really excited to see what they do with the Alice in Wonderland exhibit. So I'm definitely gonna go and film that. Uh just take that in because it's supposed they're really playing it up. So my expectations are really are set really high. I'm hoping that it really blows me out of the water because yeah, it looks like it's gonna be wonderful. But yeah, but thanks so much for coming and hanging out, and I hope that you enjoy. Um, oh, wonderful, Suzanne. Yes. Yeah, that's I would love to do more of that, is go on these like tours for folks and just get the footage. We were walking really fast with this tour group, so it's like I couldn't just take my time. But for the ones that I am filming, I'm gonna be walking slow and turning so that folks can really like enjoy looking. We were having to follow the group this Saturday, and so they were trying to show us a lot in a very short amount of time. So I felt like I was trying to get as much footage so that I could go back and zoom in and enjoy it that way. So, but thanks so much, everyone, and again, enjoy the rest of your Monday, the rest of your week. Oh gosh, we're wrapping up April, so I hope that May starts off wonderfully, and yeah, I hope you're enjoying this. I hope for those of you who are at least in the northern hemisphere for some better weather. Today it's 80 degrees in New York City, so it's pretty hot today, pretty warm. So thank you so much, everyone. Truly, it's wonderful to start off the week like this. And yeah, I'll be seeing you next week. Have a great one, everyone. Bye for now.